What's up, brohams? This is Colonel Twerkins, and I'm here with a video on how I make YouTube thumbnails for my videos. Okay, so first things first, we got to create us a little template file. Go to File, New. You would put 1280 by 720. This is a requirement of YouTube because your resolution should be 300, and by the time you get done with it, you're gonna have a big image, a big image size. But when you go to actually export it to a PNG file, you don't want that to be above 2 megabytes because it won't let you upload it. So then you would name it something like I did here, which is YouTube Template 2016. I usually just put a year on it, and that's pretty much how that goes. So I've already kind of gotten started here. I'll show you my technique. Now I got this image here, and this is a clean background image from a game called Contract Wars, if you're not familiar with it. But the way that I get that is I go here to my files, I go to this, and then I find some footage, some game footage or something like that. Okay, so what I'll do is, let me go up here. I wait till I'm gonna switch guns, right? And I go back until I switch, and then I pause the video right when I see I'm gonna switch, and pause it until I get a clean image like that with no gun in the frame. And then I hit my my print screen button, or at least the button that I have to trigger my screenshots. I use something called PicPic. I'll put the links to everything in the description box. Now, like I said, with this, we're using Photoshop, but you can use pretty much, as with all these programs, you can use pretty much anything that you can get your hands on. Pretty much all the techniques will work in any of these programs, and I will put some links to some ones that I know. So then I'm going to hit Control A, Control C to copy. I don't need to save it, because then once I get out here to Photoshop, I can actually hit Control V, and the image is going to be there in the frame. Now, if you can tell, it's going to be different from this one, because if you see, it's different, right? Well, first of all, this one is just too big, so we're going to hit Control T, and then you can either hit Alt or hold down Alt and then use the mouse wheel. But if you don't have a mouse wheel, you can always hit Control you can hit Alt. Oh, no, I guess you can't do it that way. I thought you could. No, you can't. Okay, I thought you could do it with the arrow buttons, but you can't. So what you do actually is hold down Control and hit 0, and that'll zoom you out. Then what you're going to do is you're going to hit Control Shift and move this back this way to keep the proportions as you're sizing it down. Then you let go, and what I do now is, since they're like both of these sizes, 720 and the 1080 are both 2 by 1 2 3 by 3 part images, they're all gonna kind of measure out the same way. So what I do is make sure this hits the purple line and that hits the purple line there to make sure it's within the frame. Sometimes over here on the side you'll see like it looks like it's not totally covering, but it is, so don't worry about it. Excuse me. And I apologize for my voice, I'm still getting over being sick. So now that I have this image, right, you can use some sort of a blemish or some sort of a tool to get rid of spots and things like that. You can usually use that kind of a tool. Come in here, and if you're in Photoshop, this is the spot healing brush, and then come in here, do this, take out this light, and then run across there, come take this out, and then come and take this line on the bottom out, and you're good to go. Okay, and I've already done that, like I said, with this other image, so I'm going to dump that one. Okay, Now I have a second image, and this second image is a soldier. And you can pretty much, when you're looking for images online, one of the things you want to make sure you do is if you go to Google and you do a search like soldier standing guard, right? So you do that. But when you do this and you go to images on your search tool, go to size and hit large. The reason for this is you want images. You see this 32 by 16 on this first one. You want bigger size images, as big as you can. If your computer can't really handle it, then just at least 1920 by 1080. Okay, so now we're back to this, and I'm gonna speed this up. I'm gonna cut him out, and what you can do here is you can either use, in Photoshop I like to use the pen. That's like, to me, the more professional way to cut it, because you can do Bezier curves, which is basically you can make the lines curved and make it more precise. Okay, now otherwise people usually tend to use the polygonal lasso tool. I mean, it's not bad to use necessarily, but it's just something, I guess, if it's a quick thing you want to cut out maybe, but usually I try to do a more professional look with the pen. So, but I'm going to do this for you because you may not have a pen if you're using another kind of program. Let's see, I'm not sure if GIMP has one, but usually I can tell you how to do a lot of stuff in other programs too, even if I've never used it, because I can just go in there and, you know, look at it and I'll figure it out. Now I'm just gonna go ahead and cut him out. I'm gonna speed this up. Make sure up here, guys, that this says 0 and you don't have any feathering on it. You don't want soft edges. We'll handle that in a little bit.
But nothing is gonna change me. Nothing is gonna make me whole inside. I just wanna be whole inside. What can you feel with your numb tattoo? It's just a hole inside of you.
Okay, now I'm back. One of the notes I wanted to make about the polygonal lasso tool is one of the reasons why you don't want to use it for cutting out you know, things, unless you really just you have to, you don't have any choice, is because, especially in what we're doing, there's nothing that is more annoying, more frustrating, more rage inducing than when you actually go through all of this and you get to the very last piece, the very last click, and you do something wrong and it totally goes haywire and is totally wrong and you have to do it all over again. So with the pen tool, you don't really get that issue. You don't really have that problem. It's just way easier. If you have a pen in the pen tool in the program that you're using, please, I would advise you to learn how to use it, okay, and use that thing. Okay, so now that we have this, what we're gonna do is hit Control J, and what that does is, if we turn off this layer, it pretty much has the cutout of the soldier. Now, if you could see when I had it outlined, I didn't have it perfect, trust me, but it's okay because what we're doing is just gonna, you know, all that's gonna be kind of masked. You won't have to worry about it. So now what we do is we are going to take our next image, click that off, and oops, hit V, because the move tool is V, and that's what lets you hit Control T so you can resize. And then I'm going to hold down Shift and Alt to make it smaller, and then I'm going to make it as big as I can. Hold Shift so that you don't lose the proportions. Okay, and I'm going to let it be about that big. And this is Grumpy Cat, if you don't know. And on this one I'm going to use the pen tool. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in here. This one's not that, this one won't be that hard to cut out. Won't take that long. See, what you can do here is I can click, hold, and drag it, and it'll like make curves inward or outward depending on how I turn the anchors. That's what they're called. See, do that and make his ears perfect. Okay, I can do just come around the edges of the hair. You don't have to like go perfect because we're gonna do something else with this. And we're gonna turn it like that. Kitty. Okay. Oops. Careful, because you can kind of mess yourself up there if you don't do it right. We're gonna cut off those whiskers. Not gonna worry about that. We're gonna get like that. Now what we do is right click on it, click make selection, don't worry about feather radius, hit OK. Then we're going to click back on the image because it makes its own file when it does the shape. Then we're gonna go to select, and we're gonna do refine edge. Okay, and then we got the little shape of the kitty here, and then we're gonna do sharp smart radius, and we're gonna move this up just a little bit. You see how you can see the hairs a little more? Hairs. Okay, that way you get a little bit more of the hair. And then what you could do is bump up smooth just a little bit, just to smooth it, not make it too rough. And like I said, this may not be available in a program that you might be using, but this is just for those who do have Photoshop. And we're gonna shift the edge, shift it back a little bit so that it doesn't really get anything of the outside image. And then we're gonna hit to selection like that. And then again, I'm gonna do Control and J. And that should have cut it out pretty decent for us. I mean, of course, it does kind of look bad. Let me go back in here. Layer, select. Refine edge. Okay, so then we need to go back one step. And then go back one step. And then go back to layer, select. You have to kind of, mess around with it to kind of get, the kind of thing you want. Okay. Smooth. Oh, I forgot contrast. Shift the edge back. Add smart edge a little bit, yeah. Okay, let's see if that makes it. Let's see what happens. Control J. Okay, that's a lot better. It's not as smooth as I'd like it to be, but for right now, this is just quick and dirty. We're just getting it done. Okay, so then we're going to get rid of this other image of the original image of the soldier, and we're gonna come up here to him and we're gonna turn him on, turn this one off. And we're going to use the pen tool and do this selection here. Oops. And we're going to basically take his head off. I don't even know why I focused on trying to make a good cut of the helmet, but hey, it never hurts to put 100% into it, right? Okay, so now we got that. Make new selection. And then we're just gonna hit delete. Oh, I forgot you can't do it because that's a smart. It's a shape layer. It's not the actual layer. So hit delete. Hit Control D to unselect what you selected. We can get rid of these shape layers and put those in the trash. Okay, so now we take this. We hit Control T. Actually, I want to right click on it and hit flip horizontal. And I want to move it like this to where it looks about right. Then I'm going to hold down Shift and Alt, bring it up here, and bring it down like this. Okay, and then we're gonna bring it up just a little bit like that. Looks about right. So I'm gonna go back to the smudge tool. And then we're going to move this in slowly, easily. Okay. And then we're going to come back around these little edges right there. We're going to bring them down like that, and we're going to kind of smudge it and move it into the neck area. There we go. That's a little better, right? Okay. And we kind of still need to, oops, rectify this a little bit. Okay, so that looks pretty cool. So we can go with that. And then what we want to do is we want to go down to layer 5 and layer 4, which a good practice is to name each layer. Grumpy cat head, and then soldier body. And once you do that, and you know you got the image the way you want it, go ahead and hit Control and click on the other image, and then hit Control G to group them. And then we'll put cat, soldier. Okay. And then we will move him over this way. Right? So we got him there. And then let's see. Okay, so here's a cool thing we could do. Let's see, place linked. Let's see. I think it's in here. No, I believe it is in here. Yes. Deal with it. Right click it, flip it, and then we're gonna hold down Shift and Alt, bring it down a little bit, see what we got here. I think we're working with something cool now. Then we'll go ahead and make them smaller and move it around. Oh, that kind of looks cool. No, let's just put it over his eyes. Okay, so we'll do that. It's like there's never a wrong time to use deal with it glasses. Never. Control T again. I think I want to make this a little bit smaller. We don't want the eye showing at all. So we'll hold down. I use the up arrows, or if you want bigger increments for it to move, hit Shift or hold down Shift and it'll. Okay, I think that's perfect. Yeah. Okay, so now that we've got this image together, now it's simple. Just put in our background, right? But here's the trick. Since the background doesn't necessarily perspective-wise totally match up to this, we're gonna go to Filter, make sure your layer is selected. Go to Filter, go to Blur, and we're gonna go to Gaussian Blur. And we're gonna move this up. Let's bump it up to about 6. Okay, we bump it up to about 8.6. You can mess with it however you want. Now, this is an edge that seems to be showing through on the other side. I have not tested to see whether it matters, but since it bugs me and I don't want to mess around with it, I just put another layer behind it. Then what I do is I take this layer off and this layer off. Well, this actually can go into the folder. If you drag it to the folder, it'll go right in there. Okay, so now what I'll do is on this layer here, actually I'm gonna turn this image back on. I'm gonna grab the eyedropper tool. Okay, where you at? Right there. And I'm gonna pick like I could pick this. Yeah, pick this color, and then I'm going to hit G, and I'm gonna turn this layer off, and I'm gonna click there, and I'm gonna turn the layer back on. So that way, if you notice, it kind of hides it. You don't have to worry about it. So now we take this and we put it back on, and now what we're gonna do is we're gonna start putting in our text. And right now we have the soldier, the cat soldier here. If you want to, you can always use some sort of something to outline him. Use maybe a stroke, or you can use glow or whatever you choose. Let's see here. Do it on the outside. Bump it up a little bit. Oops, wrong one. Cat soldier, there we go. Always make sure you have your layer selected, Twerkins. Okay, so make sure it's on the outside. Actually, you can do it on the inside for this one, since we have a little bit of image stuff that, you know, it's kind of messed up. Well, actually, no. Let's do outside. Okay, and then let's not do it that much. Let's do about 4. Or let's go about 3. Yeah. So let's do that, and we'll change this color. Change it to, let's see, yellow. Let's make it yellow. Cool. Now you can do things like gradients if you want. Just be careful what gradients you pick, because sometimes those gradients aren't always going to be the best. I have some here that I use. I'll use that one. And let's reverse it. No, I think it's good like that, the regular way. And then we're gonna hit OK. So now we've got that. See, now the only problem is this here. Because I did what I did, it does that. So a way to fix that is you can come here and you can go to the grumpy cat head, select that image, and then you can come in here and use this. This time set about a 5 pixel feather. Hit enter, and you're gonna come and you're gonna just go right here and just kind of go up along the edges like that. Now trust me, this is something that you don't get taught everywhere, so just remember where you learned it. And oops, click that. So now you just hit delete, and you might want to hit it again and hit it one more time. You just hit it till it looks right. Okay, and one more time. Okay, so now Control D to deselect it. I'm not really worried about the little extra, it's fine. So, because like I said, you guys got to do the work. I'm just showing you how to get it done. Okay, so now that we've got this, one thing you also want to do is, so that you don't make the mistake of saving it on your template, is go to File, and we're going to do Save As, and I'm just going to name it Kitten Battle. Okay, so we're going to save Kitten Battle, we're going to do OK, and then the next thing that we're going to do is, now that we've got our little picture set up here, we're going to do our text. And click T for your text. Change the color right away and use white. I always use white. I don't try to make any sort of colors or gradients or, you know, a whole bunch of other stuff. I do some background color like drop shadow type color, but I don't try to use it as much, because you want everything as far as making YouTube videos, thumbnails. The most important thing is it needs to be legible, it needs to be readable, it needs to be seen. As a matter of fact, you should be able to put it down here and go to let's say 12%, and you should be able to see it and still recognize what's going on, especially when it comes to, and also check it at like 16. It's about the size that people are going to see it on mobile and tablets. People are probably going to see it about this big or maybe a little bigger, so like that, right? So just always kind of check. Now what you're going to do is you're going to come here, you're going to click right? And we're going to find something to use. You don't want to use fonts that are like crazy with a lot of effects on them. You know what I mean? Like something like let's see, like this. People will use this, right? Which is not that bad, but when you try to make it bigger, right? And you try to like, you know, unless you make it big enough, right? In this situation, let's say if I was forced to do it, right? If I was forced to do that, I'd hit that. Then what I do is I take and I drag it behind the kitten soldier, which I don't even know why it's in the, always make sure you close your folder, because otherwise images you don't want in there will get stuck in there. Okay, and then drag it behind. So if I was able to do that, I would do it like that. Okay, but I don't really want to do that. So, okay, I usually use something, well, one of the ones I use is usually American. It's called American Captain. Now the reason I use this is from excuse me, what I know in graphic design and typography, which is what it's called. It's, you know, they're called typefaces. They're not really called fonts, but we call them fonts because they're in the computer, right? So anyway, I would use this because not only does it have clear legibility, like could be able to read it well, but it also has taller and thinner letters that when they're together are still readable even when they're close, like that. Why do I want that? Because that way I can make it a lot bigger and I won't have to worry, you know, about it not fitting, you know what I mean, or having to make it too small. Now one of the things is since this is all digital and it's not printing has guidelines and bleed lines where you can only make it so big or else it may get cut off, right, once it's printed. But since this is digital, it's to the edge. Whatever you do, to the edge. But you also still, just for design's sake, you want to make it breathe. You don't want it to be all the way to the edge, you know what I mean? Some stuff you can do and get away with that, but you don't really want to do that all the time. Okay? So, and it doesn't matter that the T's are covered up by the cat's head because people will fill in the rest, right? Just like on Facebook, they do those posts where it's written backwards or it's, you know, written with crazy letters and people are still able to read it. Your mind can put it together because it has the experience to be able to do that. So now we have kitten battle, but actually let's not do kitten battle. Let's do kitty battle. Okay. So now here's a trick for lining up your text. If you want to line it up, right? You make sure that your text layer is selected. Then you're going to hit Control A to select all. Then you're going to make sure that you hit V or click the move tool. Then you can do this right here, which is to set it in the middle, and it'll line it up between this side, the left side, and the right side of the little marching ants, which is what they're called. Okay, so now you don't want to hit this because if you do that, it's going to sit in the middle unless you want to do that. But you just want to do that, you know, to line everything up. So Control D to deselect that. And now that we've got that, what I do sometimes is I will take this text layer and I will hit Control J and make a copy of it, put the copy below, take this one, and I will bring this up here and I'm going to click on the color. Actually, you know what I'm going to do to this? I'm going to hit check mark and then I'm going to go to effects and do a gradient overlay. And the gradient I'm going to use is going to be that yellow that I used on the kitty on his stroke border. And then what I do is make sure that my move tool is selected, and then I'm going to bring it down a little bit and bring it to the right a little bit. Now once I bring this to the right, I want to make sure I watch my side here, right? And then I'll take the top one and I'll move it to the left a little bit, so that way they're kind of balanced out, right? Okay, so now I've got Kitty Battle, right? And then now that that's done, I can say, I don't know, whatever the, you know, if this is a series, okay, then what I'll do is I'll take this and I will do a Control J. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to double click this and I'm just going to put a number sign, and then I'm going to put 1. Number 1, that's the number 1. Oops, did that the wrong way. I meant to hit Control J and then take that and hit the number sign and 1, and then I'm going to hit the check mark, and I'm going to move this using my shift, holding down shift and the arrow key. Okay, and then I'm going to move it this way, right? Now, why am I moving it here? Well, you can move it here if you'd like to. You can even hit Control T and you can turn it, angle it, or whatever you like to do. But what I'm actually doing is by moving it here, I give myself some room for my logo, which is usually here in the corner. Okay, but that's if you have one. If you don't, it's no big deal. You kind of just do whatever it is that works for you, right? So in Photoshop, it lets you line things up by giving you a little guide mark. Then I'm going to hit Control T and I'm going to drag this top corner and I'm going to use Shift, holding it down, and drag it up, and there I go. I've got 1 there, right? So now I'm going to do that again. I'm going to hit Control J again. Then I'm going to drag that copy underneath. It's just the way I like to do it. And then I'm going, oops, wrong one. Hit check. Then I'm going to hit FX and I'm going to do gradient overlay again. And I'm going to use that same gradient. Then I'm going to do the same thing I did before, and I'm going to move it down and move it sideways, and there you go. So now that you have this here, that's it. You're done. You have a complete thumbnail and it looks pretty cool, right? So this is just kind of my, you know, stilo, my style, my technique, what I do. And if you guys have any further questions, something you didn't understand, maybe something's not working right, whatever, if I can be of service, if I can help you out, I will. If you really need me to, I can Skype with you. Just you know, ask me first. You know, make sure that I'll try to get to you as soon as I can. If I can't get to you, just please be patient with me. You know, but I try to get back to everybody as soon as possible. Thanks a lot for watching, guys. Make sure you like this video so that some other people that you know may watch this video and that are interested in it. And also subscribe if you'd like to see more of these and watch some of my other content. And thanks a lot for watching, guys. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.